start the new topic, that is the vegetation of India. Before discussing India, let's come over to the basic principles of vegetation. Vegetation of a place anywhere on the earth's surface is the outcome of the natural conditions. What are those natural conditions? Relief, distance from sea, altitude, location, situation, climate, soil, availability of water, perenniality of water. These are the parameters which determine the nature of vegetation. So, determinants of the vegetation. One is relief. It's low lying or high altitude. In both the places, this and this, in both the places you will find different vegetation. The slope is the third factor, slope in the relief. What is the nature of slope? If it is the steep slope, vegetation would be different. If it is plain, the vegetation would be different. The nature of slope also determines. So apart from that, it is the climate, another most important parameter which determines the vegetation. So climate may be cold, may be hot, may be dry, may be wet. So these are the four parameters which determine the nature of vegetation, the climatic conditions, the water availability, or you can say soil moisture. Level of soil moisture determines the nature of vegetation. And apart from that, the fourth is the soil, the thickness of the soil, plus physical properties of the soil, you can say texture of the soil. Apart from that is chemical properties. Chemical properties means pH value of the soil. That is the pH value. pH value determines whether it is the basic soil or the acidic soil. These are the parameters, basic parameters which determine. Apart from that, within relief we could say situation and location. Situation and location are the other. Situation means if there is a mountain range, this slope is facing the sunlight, suppose, and this slope is free from the sunlight. So the nature of vegetation would be different on both these slopes. So that is called situation. And the location, where it is located, on the same latitude, it is wind facing slope, lake facing slope, or the sea facing slope. The location is important. The location, if you see the west coast of India and the east coast of India, in both the coastal regions of India, you have the different vegetation. This west coast is having wet equatorial rainforest, but this is having the dry deciduous vegetation. So it means both are the coastal location, but that is called location, the nature of location. Location this side, and the situation. The situation is location within location. Within location, suppose this is the mountain range, this is free from sunlight, this is facing the sunlight. So this can be free from vegetation, they may be having, you can say, vegetation with dry conditions, or the grasses and the bushes and the herbs are there, and this may be luxuriant vegetation. these are the determinants which determine the nature of vegetation. Now, what are the properties of vegetation? If you come over to the properties of vegetation, on which basis we classify the different types of vegetation. We used to say, this is rainforest, this is dry vegetation, this is, you can say, tall trees, trees with lesser height, stunted growth, you can say, what are the properties, on what basis we classify the different types of vegetation. So first of all is the height of trees. Trees may be sometimes as high, trees may be of lesser height, trees may be of greater height, trees may be of further height, trees may be of 100 feet high. You can say 100 feet, you can say 10 feet. So the range is 10 feet to 100 feet height is varying. Then apart from that, density of vegetation, density of trees. On the basis of this, we divide open forests, we used to say open forests and the closed forests. Open and closed forest, you must know in canopy coverage. Canopy means crown. Crown means foliage. Foliage, how much area? Like sometimes we have the tree. Suppose this is one of the tree. Say a conical Devdar tree. It is like this. This is Devdar. You can say Devdar. And on the other hand, this may be say 100 feet tall. But on the other hand, let me take 30 feet tall or 40 feet tall mango tree. Mango is only 40 feet and it is like this. Height is less, canopy coverage is this. This is mango. So this is canopy, such a big canopy. So on the basis of this Devdar, see that canopy coverage of Devdar. How much canopy coverage is on the surface? Only this much. Height is more, but canopy coverage is less. On the other hand, if you take, this is the one, this as covered this line. So if you see, this is the canopy coverage of the mango. Mango tree has the bigger canopy coverage than the Devdar tree. Devdar is taller than the mango. So the density of trees or the vegetation, it is called, sometimes we used to say open forest or the closed forest on the basis of the canopy coverage. If the canopy coverage is more than 25% to the total forested area, it is called closed forests or the dense forest. If it is less than 25% of the total geographical area of the forest with the canopy coverage, that is called open forest. If it is less than, this canopy coverage is less than the 25% of the total geographical area of the forest, is called open forest. If it is more than 25%, it is called closed forest. Is it clear? This is, and this is one. Apart from the variety of trees, variety of trees. Variety of trees depends on the availability of water and the temperature. So near the equator, we have the more biodiversity. More biodiversity means more suitable conditions to grow the trees. So if we go away from the equator, suppose this is equator, this is 0 degree. As we go away from the equator on higher latitudes, the density decreases. As we come closer to the equator, we have the maximum diversity of vegetation. So you know, in equatorial forests, like in Amazon river valley, or you can say in Zaire river valley, or in Southeast Asia, or in Andaman Nicobar, or in Western Ghats in India, those are closer to equator, or in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, we have maximum diversity of vegetation, maximum different type of trees. As we go away from this, we find more colonization of the tree. One type of tree everywhere. Like in cold conditions in the polar region, you know, taiga forests. Taiga forest in Siberia. Entire Siberia is covered with fir, F-I-R. A few pines are also there, but fir, different type of fir, Douglas fir, silver fir. The different, only fir is there. Thousands of kilometers. Even if you travel from say Solan to Simla, if you go to Himachal Pradesh or you travel from Solan to Simla, you will find only one type of tree, that is only pine and pine, nothing else. And when you travel from Simla to further higher altitude up to Kufri, you will find only Devdar and Devdar, nothing else, not even a single tree of other species you will find. So that is called colonization of trees. So in cold condition, we have colonization, one type of tree. When we come to the warmer and the moist condition, we have more variety of trees. Like in equatorial conditions. In equatorial condition, in 1 hectare of the land, you will find more than 1,000 type of the vegetation, including grasses, herbs, bushes, and the shrubs, and the trees, and the all type of trees. And in equatorial rainforest, deforestation is very tough exercise, because every next tree is of different variety. Like if we need one mahogany tree, then mahogany is not regularly available. It is randomly. This is mahogany, this is ebony, this is walnut, this is Brazil nut, this is you can say podoc, this is hollock. Every tree is of different type. So there is more variety. Variety of trees varies from one geographical condition or one geographical region to the another geography. As we go away from equator, or as we go from lowland to the highland, the nature of vegetation changes. So this is one about the variety of trees. Are you getting my point? Sank has not come today? Sank, is it okay? A variety of trees. Then next is the bark of the tree. Next is bark. Bark of the tree. Sometimes actually bark is the one portion of the tree which supply water to the plant. If water is sufficiently available in the subsoil, then bark would be smooth. If the water is seasonally available in the subsoil, so in such condition a plant store the water in its bark, and when there is the dry condition, the same plant consume the same water from the bark, and bark remains rough. So the tree of say eucalyptus, the bark of the tree is very smooth. On the other hand, if you take the tree sesame tree or the acacia tree, bark always remains very rough, because the nature of the bark is also determining the that is important property for classification of the trees. A smooth bark or the rough bark, because from the bark. And next is roots. Roots are sometimes a tall tree. Sometimes a tree is, when higher the, sometimes it is the height. Sometimes it is the height of it. So tree is like this. The root is the girth of the root. Girth means circumference of the root is very big. Just to maintain the gravity of the tree, sometimes they have the buttress roots. Roots are spread widely on the surface. Sometimes like roots are straight. Maybe roots are straight. Tree is taller, but roots are, girth is small. Sometimes it depends. And you know, while discussing the canopy, another important factor is 6 is shape of canopy. Shape of canopy. On the basis of the shape of canopy, we divide the vegetation or the trees in different type of the vegetation trees. It is like if I construct canopy, sometimes very unorganized canopy. Sometimes canopy is, trees have very small canopy on the last. Main is the part, main trunk is there. Sometimes canopy is like this. So top is flat. Sometimes canopy is like this. Top is conical and it is like this. It is like this. It's reverse triangle. This is one triangle, top is flat. Sometimes top is like perfect conical. Sometimes like mango tree have the umbrella shape. So this is domal canopy, conical canopy, triangular canopy, flat topped canopy, small canopy, unorganized canopy. So it depends on the shape of the tree, the canopy coverage. This found in deciduous forests which shed their leaves. So they spread their circumference because the leaf, like come over to the 7 point, leaf. Leaves are the food factory of the plant. Leaves are the kitchen of the plant. They manufacture food for the plant. In such condition, the size of the leaf also determine how much healthy the vegetation would be. So the leaf size determines, but leaf is also determined, it's also responding to climatic conditions. Sometimes leaf is very large. I was glancing one movie in one documentary in National Geographic Channel in Brazil, in Amazon basin. There was a floating aquatic vegetation floating on the surface of the lake, and there was a big leaf. Leaf was bigger like this room. Only one leaf and spread over to the water, and one big anaconda was resting and taking sun bath on that leaf. See the size of the leaf. So leaves are sometimes very big leaf, you know, banana leaf, such a big leaf. Now you come over to the Ashoka tree, the small leaf. Now you come over to the neem tree, further smaller leaf. Now you come to the Acacia, further smaller leaf. And leaves are basically determining the water, how the water evaporates. When photosynthesis takes place, water evaporates. More the water availability, bigger the leaf size. Lesser the water availability, smaller the leaf size. Sometimes in dry conditions, in deserts, leaves are big, but those leaves are having leathery leaves, waxy leaves. They don't have proper evaporation. They store their food, they store their water. They doesn't allow water to evaporate. But you know, cactus, acacia, Ophancia, in cactus, basically different type of cactus, they don't have leaf. Then how they manufacture their food? They don't have leaf. Without leaf, they have only thorns. And with the help of thorns, they manufacture, the photosynthesis process takes place. And they manufacture their food. So leaves can be very big to smaller on the basis of the availability. They may be very small, they may be needle leaf, like pine, spruce, juniper, birch, willow, devdar. They all are having needle leaf forests. So the colder conditions, just to protect themselves from the adversary of climate, they have the smaller leaves, needle leaves. So leaf size varies from a thorn, sometimes thorn becomes a leaf, to needle leaf, to the large sized leaf. So leaves may be rough, more the rough leaves, more the evaporation takes place, or trans evaporation we used to say. Trans evaporation takes place. But sometimes leaves are waxy or leathery. Sometimes, rubber plant. कभी देखा है? Some of the people used to keep as an ornamental plant in their kitchen garden. और घर में भी देखते हैं rubber plant. The leaves are very waxy. If you put if you touch them with finger, you will find very smooth and waxy leaves. The wax means protecting the water to get evaporated. And apart from that is it is deciduous, shedding the leaves. Shedding the leaves on the basis of climate. So they determine, sometimes we used to say evergreen forests. Sometimes we used to say deciduous forest. No tree is evergreen in this world. Every tree shed their leaves after in a particular season. Because as we change our clothes, when it is cold, we started wearing woolen clothes. It is summer, we started wearing cotton clothes. So the trees also shed their leaves when there is adverse climatic conditions. But evergreen we used to say evergreen because there is the more variety of trees are there. If there are 100 types of trees, if one tree is shedding leaf in this season, it is not visible. Forest looks like green. इस महीने में ये tree shed leaf गिराएगा, अगले महीने ये गिराएगा, अगले महीने. So they don't have fixed one season to shed their leaves. So forest looks like green round the year. That's why they are called evergreen. So all the trees used to shed their leaves accordingly. So these are some of the properties. But the most important factor I missed here, that is the climate. After this, cold and dry and hot, and these are the different climatic conditions. Temperature and the availability of water through the rain. And on the basis of climatic conditions, we also classify the vegetation according to climatic adaptability. So those are called phytic zones. So on the basis of that, we can say, on the basis of climate, on the basis of climates, so we have the different type of vegetation types. On the basis of climate, that is called xerophyte. Xerophyte means where it is the climatic condition. Xerophyte means either cold or hot and dry. There is no wet. Wet is not there. So either very cold or very hot. So they have the extreme climate, extremely cold or extremely hot, but dry round the year. So evaporation exceeds precipitation. When evaporation is more than precipitation, and when there is small rainy season and long dry season, those vegetation in the desert kind of conditions, in arid conditions, we used to say leafless vegetation, thorny vegetation, vegetation with stunted growth, not very tall trees, only bushes, shrubs and thorny vegetation. Cactus is there, so that is in the desert, in the arid region. The desert cactus kind of vegetation is called xerophyte. Another is mesophyte. Mesophytes is the vegetation which could sustain in moderate climate. Though there is great range. Sometimes there is one climograph. I don't know whether you have studied or not, but on the basis of should I construct, you should know the one type of weather condition. Let me construct the climograph so you can understand the mesophytes. help of climograph you may understand. In the climograph, if I construct one climograph, this is say rainfall, and this I can say temperature. Say low temperature, medium temperature, and the high temperature. And this I can say low rainfall, medium rainfall, and the high rainfall. Then we used to say when there is low rainfall and low this is called keen, scorching. Muggy. And this is called raw. These are the four conditions of climate. These all these four conditions are called extreme conditions of the climate. So xerophyte, where xerophyte will find? Xerophyte will find in this side of the area where the graph is there. In this area, you will find only xerophyte. So this is the zone of xerophyte. Xerophytes will be found either here or here. Whether the low temperature and high temperature, but rainfall always remains low. Moderate, when we construct this, suppose if I construct the temperature of Delhi and say Trivandrum, I'll construct the climograph of Delhi and Trivandrum of all the 12 months in a year. How to depict? Its use will be clear then. In the month of January, Delhi we have the low rainfall and low temperature. Say January is here, or can say temperature is low. January, February, March. For temperature increases. January, February, March. Not like this, it goes up. February, rainfall is less. March, April, May, no rain. June, no rain. But July, we have high temperature, and July, August, temperature नीचे आ जाता है. September, October, November, and December. So this starts from January to February, March, April, May, June. This is June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. If I join this line, this is the climograph of Delhi city. So extreme temperature. Sometimes we have very scorching condition in Delhi. Sometimes we have very keen. Last month, the month you are passing over, अभी आप यहाँ से थोड़ा सा बाहर निकल गए, थोड़ा सा relief मिला. What was the last week? It was completely dry and low temperature. No rainfall, no temperature. What do you call it? Keen. You are in keen condition. And when it is June, it is scorching. When the loo starts, we will head towards scorching condition. And when the rain is there, temperature remains high, but moisture is there. So we head towards